Kia ora koutou. Hello everyone and welcome to Progress in Practice by Go Well Consulting, the series where we profile the initiatives being brought to market by the businesses we work with. I'm Nick Morrison and this is the show where good ideas meet real world action. Today we're talking about what happens to flooring material when it reaches the end of its life and why for most flooring products the answer has traditionally been landfill. Jacobsen is a New Zealand flooring company that decided that simply wasn't good enough. Their response is Re.form, a takeback program that collects discarded flooring products from customers and sends them back through the supply chain to manufacturing and processing partners in Europe. Here they're recycled into new flooring products. It's a genuine closed-loop solution in an industry that hasn't always been known for them. And it's a powerful example of what's possible when a business decides to take ownership of the full life cycle of what it sells. In the conversation you're about to hear, we speak with Cynthia Tang, who is the General Manager of Marketing, Technology and Impact at Jacobsen. Cynthia explains how Re.form works, what it takes to build a program like this from the ground up, the roller coaster ride of good news and new obstacles it has been, and why they believe this is simply the right way to do business. We hope you enjoy it. Good, thank you. Where are you coming to us from today?
We are from Jacobsen.
Brilliant. And sorry, I was thinking location in the world.
We're in Auckland, New Zealand.
Fantastic. So that's where Jacobsen's headquartered?
Yeah, we're a nationwide business, but our headquarters is in Auckland.
Awesome. Okay, right. Tell us, please, what is your progress in practice? What are we talking about today?
Today, we're going to talk about our Re.form program, which is our product stewardship program, which has started since 2020. So it's our 6th year in running of the program.
Wow. And so tell me more about it. What is it? What's it involved? What happens?
So this is, as a business that we really believe in our impact of the planet of what we sell. We believe that it's our responsibility to take back products that we put on the floor. So the program that we've got is we take back any products that is ours, particularly in the vinyl, carpet tile and rubber. We take it back to our warehouse, we sort them, and then we send it back to the manufacturer for recycling. So this is a completely closed loop system, and we're very proud that we're working with one of the world leading flooring brands that actually have a closed loop system, which is the gold standard for recycling.
So just want to ask, so you mentioned a few different types of flooring there, but just one manufacturer that you're working with, so they take all three types?
No, they're actually four different brands that we've got. We sell many different categories within flooring. So we have a company called Tarkett that we deal with. They are kind of world leading in recycling. They do carpet tiles and vinyl. And then we also work with a company called Shaw Contract, and they recycle their own carpet tile, and a company called Re.form, which do rubber.
Right. Okay. So these three flooring brands had already sort of brought this recycling capability to market, and then you guys were like, great, we will tap into this, but you had to do the organizing of getting the tiles back or getting the flooring back and getting it to them.
Yeah, that's right. Recycling's really hard. Like, I think New Zealand's a relatively small country. Like, the resources and R&D that's required to develop a complete closed loop system, it's just not really available in New Zealand, particularly in flooring. So that is kind of what they've done overseas. So our role is to collect all the products back here and then send it back to the manufacturer. And they collect products from all over the world to the same recycling plant. Right.
And then are you buying then the recycled flooring? Do you know if it is or not? Or is it just they just put it into their products and you don't really know?
Yes, some of the products are already, so if you can check the labels, the recycled content will be the products that we kind of put back in. Right. There are some suppliers which is trying to create a range that is 100% recycled products with Tarkett. That's what they're working on, but they don't have enough products, so they want to get more so that they actually can produce a line.
So they want more unwanted discarded flooring to be able to recycle into the new stuff. Yeah. Funny that the challenges of the circular economy solution. Okay, so I just want to ask briefly, you've talked a bit about those brands that are involved, and you guys are obviously involved. Any other key stakeholders that are involved in this program?
So for a program like this, we really need all stakeholders to get involved. We need architects to specify and be really clear that actually for this project, say hospital or school building, we want all the offcuts taken back into and just put a separate bag and then send it back to Jacobsen. And then we need the flooring contractor to actually read the documentation and go, okay, I will actually do exactly what you've asked me to do. And then it involves us as a business to cover the cost of all this. And also once we take all the products back to our head office, we then have to sort everything through and then sort them out and then send it back to.
So it's quite labor intensive, right? Like, because what the alternative is, the contractor just throws it all into another bag that goes to a landfill. Yeah,
that is quite often the easier solution, because if you can imagine a building site, there's so much going on. To have to separate rubbish is actually quite a hard task for them. Or the alternative is that we do sometimes find we get rubbish, so they treat our bags as a rubbish bin. And one time we even found a staff photo from 1999 in one of our bags.
Well, there you go. We've actually got a couple of images that we'll show a bit later on of people doing the sorting. But where I'd like to go now is the journey you've been on. And obviously Go Well Consult have been working with Jacobsen for 6-ish years now, primarily helping you with your reporting and your sustainability reports. We've got one very close to being released, Cynthia. But I'd like you to go back and tell the journey from the first concept. And I imagine it was from finding out that these manufacturers were doing this recycling, and then you deciding we want to tap into that, we want to be part of that, through to where it is today. Can you tell us that journey?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're very lucky to be working with some of the partners who are as passionate as us on sustainability. So actually programs that they've been running has actually been going on for 10, 15 years. So they're quite well established. They've done all the test and learn and know how things work and what doesn't. So other countries has already have the program quite well established. So we're lucky that we have Australia that we can kind of lean on. Hey, how do you guys do it? What are your challenges? And then we can kind of share a lot of the learnings from them.
Yeah, right.
So in 2020, when we established the program, we've decided that actually this is now up and running and humming, and actually what is our role and how can we build the program? So we've designed this from scratch, take all the learnings from the different businesses. And at the start of the program, the idea is that we've got to make this easy for everyone, because no one naturally go, I want to create complexity in my building site. So it's got to be easy for them. It's got to be free. It's got to be, because we believe that rather than, it's not a money-making, well, it's not really money-making, or it's not a retention or an acquisition tool, but actually we feel like it's a responsibility of ours to ensure that we're responsible for our product. So that's kind of the basic and principle of how we've designed it. And we have been, there's been so many challenge of like the contractors don't really understand it. What's the point of it? Why do I care? Why should I care? Architects ask about it. And we have had so many learnings on how can we make sure everyone take part and do their play a role in the whole system, and all the stakeholders get involved. And I think we are at a stage where I think architects are increasingly asking about what our take back program looks like, and increasingly interested in beyond the product carbon emission, which I think probably 6 years ago they were asking for, hey, what's the EPDs? How much carbon is going into the product? How much recycling material is in the product? And then now increasingly they're interested beyond that. It's like, actually, what is the VOC when you have the product in use, and then what's happening at the end of life? So they're asking kind of more curious question about, actually, you have a life cycle end of life program, but Are you downcycling? Are you putting
Right.
them into road cones or fence posts, or are you having a closed loop recycling system? So actually, we're getting those kind of questions, which is great, which is what we want the
Yeah.
industry to be asking.
Absolutely.
So I think that has actually probably evolved. Not so much. I think as the industry has changed and everyone's interest, especially after COVID, has changed around sustainability, and the
Right.
big flooring contractors are also trying to do their parts of
Oh, that's great.
um, yeah. And we also have the Green Star for the Green Building Council. So a lot of
Yes. Yeah.
projects want to get the Green Star. And then this is a key part to getting
Can I just
some of the.
that just sorry to interrupt there, but it just makes me think of a question. How much do you think it's sort of other external forces being put on the likes of the architects and stuff versus this flooring program being available, this take back program being available? Like, are they getting pressure from customers from things like the Green Star framework, or do you think it's just they've finally been made aware of your take back program, or is it a bit of both maybe?
Yeah, I think a bit of both. And I think different people have different motivations. I think
Right.
some people genuinely cares and genuinely want to do the right thing
Yeah.
and advise and do the right thing for the planet. And some
Yes.
people want the Green Star, and some of the customer and consumer tenants of the buildings is also pushing for it because everyone's got their sustainability target that they want to meet,
Yes.
and challenging each other really.
Cool. Oh, that's good.
Mm.
From my perspective as a sustainability consultant, that's what we want to hear, Cynthia. Okay, so I want to go a bit more into the journey again. So you knew that these recycling capabilities were available overseas with your various flooring manufacturers. You decided you wanted to fit with your values and that sense of responsibility that you have as a flooring business. And so yeah, so what happened next? Like, did you? I know, for example, that you've had an award given to you through the Sustainable Business Network a few years ago. So I know that was in the early stage of the pilot project, but I know that there's also been lots of more obstacles that you've overcome along the way. So where did it get to? So the concept was there. You decided you want to do it. You thought about how you were going to design it, making it easy. I think it's such a really good point you make in terms of business. Building sites don't want to be more complex. So make it really easy, make it cheap or free. And then what? So then you trialed it, you gave it a go, you got some rubbish put in there.
Yeah.
Tell us more, pick it up from there in terms of the journey.
Yeah, so we have, so our type, because we collect various different products and we need to collect at least a container for to be efficient, right? We are
Yeah,
shipping things overseas, so we've got to
yeah,
make sure that it's efficient. So we need to fill the container full before we can ship products back. So we are very excited because we're very close to sending one container full of final products back to Europe. And as we are close to achieving that, we started exploring, hey, actually, how do we get these items to Europe? And then so we did a bit of digging around that. And then we've learned that because our vinyl are made out of PVC and under the Import and Exports Restrictions Order in 2004, it's classified as hazardous waste because, as you imagine, a lot of people do ship PVC plastics to third world countries so that they can deal with it. Whereas our purpose is completely different. We actually want to go back and recycle it. So that was a challenge because in order to get a hazardous waste license, apparently I've heard that there's only three companies who's ever got it, and it's extremely complex to get.
right.
And company our scale, the time involved and the money that's involved are just not realistic for us. So we kind of was quite deflated because we were like, oh
Yeah,
my God, we took so long to get this. And these rules change all the time as well, right?
right.
This landscape is changing all the time from a legislation point of view. So we then dug a bit deeper into the regulations and actually how do you define, because we know we're not shipping rubbish out overseas. We know we're
Yeah,
doing the right thing.
yeah,
So how have other countries done it? So what we have learned is if you granulate the vinyl into small pellets,
yeah.
and they can be considered as a raw material, and we
Uh,
can export raw material overseas. So we're like,
Fascinating.
okay, well, actually, that is a good solution. And so the next strand, so I've probably spent like 9 months then talking to different recycling plants and people who have a granulator. I probably contact about 15 or 20 of them.
Wow.
And all of them came back with the same answer of, yes, we do granulate plastic, but actually PET. PET is different from PVC.
Yep.
I have not done science since high school, so it was a huge learning journey for me. And apparently the two can't mix because there's cross-contamination, which means that the people who own these granulators will have problems with their core products, which obviously they don't want to have risk with. So we were like, okay, well, it's clearly we've got a solution now and we can't find a partner who can help us. So what we've decided, and we've had previous relationships with Auckland City Council, and we've learned that there's a waste minimisation funding that we can apply for.
Yep.
So I went down the route of, okay, well, what if we buy our own granulator? And maybe we can purchase our own. The board was supportive of that, and but it's going to cost us over $100,000 to set it all up, to buy the granulator, and plus the people, and we'll need to have to set the whole area up healthy for health and safety. So with our previous relationship with Auckland City Council, I started thinking, well, actually, why don't we go for some funding to help us with the cost? So we went through the application, and I'm very pleased that at the end of 2024, we got approval for the funding to purchase this granulator.
But yeah, that was a bit of a celebration.
Yeah, definitely. It was quite a lot of writing, quite a lot of research, quite a lot of kind of making sure you put your best. It's a bit like college application. Making sure that you get it all right. And so we got there, so we got super excited. We're like, okay, well, let's look at granulator, how we're going to put it, where we're going to put it. It's quite a ginormous machine. It's super loud. So we kind of gone down that route, and then out of nowhere, we got approached by a different matting manufacturer who has actually got a granulator, and they are super happy for us to be granulating with them and be our granulating partner. And the timing couldn't be better, because I was like, actually, we're about to spend money on granulator, which we kind of, I mean, it's nice to have options. So we kind of assessed both options and go, well, actually, purchasing a granulator is great, but we're not getting recycled bags every day. We're not in the volume that we're going to be using this granulator 100% of the time. So whilst it's a solution, is it really efficient for us to own the whole granulator and purchase a brand new machine with all the materials and shipping and setup versus someone who already has this for other use? So if you kind of step back a bit, it does make sense using a granulating partner until there is one day when actually we need the capacity because they can't service anymore. So we've gone down the granulator partner track, and it's kind of what we've ended up deciding to do. And then they have now granulated about 8 tons of products for us so far, and counting, because we need about 10 tons before we can send it back.
Right. And is it just the PVC that you had that issue with around it being waste, etc.?
Yeah, PVC is the main issue. Yeah, because it's considered hazardous.
So you can send other material types as still as in the form of flooring, but just the PVC needed to be shredded down or granulated down. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fascinating. Are you happy to share who the granulator partner is, or is that
I haven't checked with them, so probably not at this stage.
Okay, cool.
But feel free to reach out to me privately if you're interested.
Cool. Okay, well that's something we sort of do at the end, and we'll include your contact details for those who want to reach out, who are asking similar kind of or trying to solve similar kind of problems in their own business. That's a fascinating story, and I just want to take a moment to to compliment you on the resilience and the perseverance that you had throughout that, because that must have been a bit of a roller coaster ride of emotions of like, yay,
Oh,
we've got this
definitely.
opportunity to recycle our stuff with our partners back in overseas in Europe, etc. Let's start collecting. Oh no, we can't send this stuff because of this rule around waste. What do we do? We'll find a granulator. No one does it. Oh, then we went through the getting application, got the money, yay, and then all of a sudden a partner comes out. So yeah, I just think that's such a awesome story, and full credit to you and the wider Jacobsen team that you hung in there and kept going.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it has been quite a roller coaster ride.
Mm-hmm. Okay, look, I've got a couple of images here that I want to show Cynthia that I'd get you to talk to. So I'm just
Yeah.
going to share the screen and then ask you to tell us what we're seeing here. There it goes. So just bring out that first image just so the full screen. So what have we got here? A bit of a
Oh,
forced smile on someone's face there.
this is one of our sales rep, Amon, who this is at Papamoa High School or college, I think. So this is a great story, and highlights how challenging this program can be. So they was super pumped that they are taking part in the program. We know there are carpet tiles that we've put in how many years ago when we first did this project, and they were happy to be part of the program. And so we gave them all the instructions and they followed it very well, as you can see on the pictures on the right. They put everything on a pallet very neatly and they followed the instructions super well. Gold star to them. However, what we didn't think about was all this carpet tile, as you can see, is on the first floor of the high school building, and this building does not have any lifts. So there is no way that the forklift can get there to collect the carpet tile. So what you see on the picture on the left is Amon. So a few of our sales team went to the project, and we're all passionate people. So we're like, hey, there's so much carpet tile, we don't want to waste it. So a few of the team drove down to Papamoa and then actually moved all the carpet tile one by one, and then moved them back on a pallet and back on the ground floor so that it can be picked up by the courier.
That's amazing, eh? It just shows you like this is the kind of thing you need to be prepared for doing these kind of projects, right? Like things that you just don't think of until they happen. It sounds like you had really good instructions.
They've done all the right thing. You just don't even think about it, you know?
Just that one kind of basic thing. Funny too is that sometimes it seems so obvious, but then when you can see from their perspective, they're like, okay, let's do this. Let's follow these instructions. We're doing it. Yep. And I wonder if everyone asked, or anyone asked at any point, how are they going to get it down the stairs? Or that just never...
Clearly they didn't.
Yeah. Wow, yeah. Maybe they thought you had some kind of helicopter that would lift it off or something. I don't know. But I think that's a really good insight into the kind of realities of bringing these kind of projects to market. And then also the attitude and the kind of, I guess the values that Jacobsen display here to send a bunch of your sales team down there to fix the problem. Yeah, it's a cool story. Okay, so next image here looks like a lot of people sorting through bags.
Yeah, so this is one of our sorting day that happened in August last year. So we've got, like 80 plus bags that we have collected over time. So the last time we did a sorting day was maybe 2-3 years ago. And because we got the granulating partners, we know the path forward. We're like, well, actually, we know what we're gonna do with this. Let's sort it out, and then so we know how much products we've got. So the white bags you can see is everything we have collected. So one by one, we need to go into the bag, find the products, pick them up, sort them into the different product categories, and then move them into the black bag you can see on the right.
Right. Yeah.
And obviously we want to be efficient on our freight. So we have a team member here just stepping on it and crushing it down, making sure that we're maximizing the size of our bags.
It's awesome. And what it kind of shows to me again is the whole of business sort of commitment to this. This is not just a little passion project that you're doing and having to do it all on the side. You've got, your sales team involved in that solution that we just saw before, and now you've got what, 1, 2, 5, 6 people in these images helping
Yeah,
sort through the bags.
totally. Yeah, we have anyone from our admin, sales support team, our technical team, our warehouse team, and even Renee, our CEO, is also getting in and helping us clean,
I think
sort out the rubbish.
I think we have a better photo here of Renee. That's her on the left, right?
Yeah.
Can you tell us what she's doing there?
This is Renee and Gary here. So we found some of the vinyls, and unfortunately, because it wasn't stored properly, they all got moldy. So what we were doing was cutting out the moldy bits so we can save the clean bit of the vinyl.
But there's the CEO actually cutting moldy vinyl bits off. I think again that speaks volumes to the commitment that you guys have made to this. And you said it right at the start that it was about your values around taking responsibility for the flooring, and I think this really does emphasize that that's not just words. And I guess also the picture here on the right showing that you need those technical skills as well. Obviously, one of your team here who knows how to drive forklifts and help lift the pallets up onto the truck.
Yeah. So our warehouse team is a key to running this kind of operations, because we collect the bags back in. They have to weigh them, they have to mark them, they have to check the bags so that we know what it is, and then put them aside, and then we have sorting day. Now we have about a monthly sorting day where we just sort out all the bags that come in as we come.
Right. Roughly how many are you receiving a month these days? Is it kind of consistent, or
it goes from it varies just depending on what kind of projects we've got and how the scale of the projects. Generally, it's a large scale project which is participating in our program, like a hospital job, or mainly kind of huge hospital jobs, or education.
Right. And our last image here is of some black bags that I assume are full of flooring inside a container.
Yeah, so this is all the white bags got sorted, and then all the black bags are things that has been sorted. We are comfortable that everything in there, we've checked every single one piece is exactly what we need. Because at the same time, we've also got a responsibility to our suppliers as well. We don't want to send them rubbish back overseas that they granulate and there's any issue with products that we're going to get later. So we take a lot of care into making sure we're sending them good quality products to recycle.
Right. So have they provided you with some quite strict guidelines, I guess, in terms of what they will receive?
I think it's more making sure we are not mixing product, because ultimately recycling is difficult, because particularly difficult when you're mixing different products together. I think that's why we can only recycle our own product, because we know what exactly is in there. Competitor products, like in an ideal world, I would love one day when we can take any vinyls and we can recycle all of them. But the reality is the makeup is all different. It's a bit of a science and art. So you've got to balance it right so that you make sure that the product that you are reproducing is also quality as well. So the best way to control that is to make sure you have control of what products you're taking back.
Right. It also, to me, it speaks a bit to the importance of the design phase, right? And that people are designing these flooring products to fit into recycling programs like this. So
that's exactly
to that point, have you noticed any changes in that sense over time? Like, have you seen more flooring products coming to market designed to be taken back and recycled, or not really, not yet?
I think it's still, I haven't seen anything new other than what we've already got. The thing is, it is really hard. It's really hard. It's a really hard thing to design it that way. I've been to Sweden where we've got the recycling plant, and they have a whole R&D team just focusing on recycling. And if you can imagine, like flooring, there's all these different, there's probably like hundreds and thousands of colors that you are collecting back. Then how can you turn all them into a beige, a gray, a
Right.
red or a purple. Like that's a science in itself. So they actually have a
Right.
lab team they recycle a whole bunch of products. Then they would then color match. Actually, a lot of the jobs is actually color matching it to a product that you would expect.
Yeah. Right.
That's a science in itself. So it's really
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the challenge of recycling, as we like to say. It is part of the circular economy, but it's kind of the last good option because of those reasons
Mm,
you've mentioned and what we've sort of talked about today. The challenges of getting it back, transporting it, sorting it, getting it to the recycling, grinding it back down versus just reusing or repairing something. But flooring, does come to end of his life at some point where eventually it can't be reused any more times, it can't be
mm.
repaired. So it's great that you've kind of done this to capture those items and also that, like you say, the offcuts and stuff that haven't got any use. Is there anything else that Jacobsen are doing sort of further up that circular economy hierarchy, like looking at repurposing or reusing flooring that before it goes into this recycling program?
Yeah, actually, our first point of call is usually reuse first before we recycle. So we work quite closely with Habitats of Humanity, and
Yes. Yeah.
and we generally go to them first, especially if they're carpet tiles that it's good enough to reuse. Like,
Yeah.
it's uplifted, maybe it's only been down for 2 to 3 years. They're not disintegrating. We do sometimes get stuff that's like almost disintegrating.
Yeah. Right.
Um, so they're usually our first point of call. And the other, we also get contacted by different businesses. A recent project we've done is at the airport, the Auckland airport, and
Yes.
they're currently doing renovation. And last year they need a temporary terminal, like a temporary terminal
Yeah.
in like containing buildings. And then we've reused some of our old carpet tiles and did like a little patchwork walkway for
Yeah.
the Auckland
Cool.
airport. Yeah, there's a case
Awesome.
study on our website if you're interested in finding out more.
Oh, yes. I highly encourage people to go to the Jacobsen website to read more and keep your eyes out for the upcoming impact report that will be released very soon as well. I just want to ask one more question, Cynthia, and that is about the future of this program. What does it look like? I know it's hard to gaze into that crystal ball, but where do you see this program going in the coming months and years? Or what do you
I think
hope
the
for the program?
I think the key goal for us at the moment is send our first container back, and we are very close. So I think this will happen this year, and that's kind of our key goal at the moment, like short-term goal. I think long-term goal is definitely adding more product categories to the program.
Mhm.
Whilst vinyl and carpet tile is one of our biggest, we would love to have other products that we can add to the program.
Yeah.
And we're
Oh,
working
great.
closely with our supplier to see what is possible and what's happening overseas as well, because generally they're a bit ahead of us.
Well, I wish you all the very best, and considering the amount of dedication and commitment you've shown to date, I've got no doubt that you'll get there. Do you mind if I just get you to sort of last words? Is any advice that you've got to other businesses who are looking to start up some kind of take back program of their own, not necessarily in flooring, but take back their own products? Have you got any kind of key tips from your learning journey to share?
Yeah, I guess don't give up, as well as reach out to people. I think there's a lovely community of people who really just all want everyone to do the right thing. And there's actually quite a few different take back programs in New Zealand right now, or even in Australia. Reach
Yeah.
out, people. You'll be surprised how happy people are to talk about their program and also refer you to different people. When I was looking for the granulating partner, I just reached out to people on LinkedIn and then just got contacts after contact. They're like, well, why don't you try this? Talk to these people. I think they might have a program. And you will just learn so much through that. And people are very happy, very generous with their time and happy to help.
Awesome. That's a great note to leave it on. Thank you so much for doing what you've done, Cynthia. I really admire yeah, like I've said already, the dedication and commitment you've shown, and the business has shown. But I know you've been driving it, so thank you for doing that, and thank you for making the time today to talk to us.
My pleasure. Nice chatting.
All right. See ya.
See ya.
Well, that's a wrap on this episode of Progress in Practice. Big thank you to Cynthia for her time in taking us through the detail of the Re.form story. It's great to have her share the ambition behind the initiative, the complexity of making it actually work, and the commitment it takes to keep going when the obstacles keep raising their heads. What stays with me from this conversation is the fact that Jacobsen launched and stuck with this project because they simply believed that it was the right way to do business and because they said they would do it. There's no elaborate justification from them, no complex cost-benefit framing, just a clear-eyed view that if you're putting something into the world, you should be willing to take responsibility for what happens to it at the end of its life. Look, there's no doubt that there are business benefits to this, especially in the long run, and they should only scale up. But they have been few and far between through the development process. This might sound a bit obvious, but to me, Re.form is proof that easy and obvious are very different things. Shipping discarded flooring back through a supply chain to recycling partners in Europe is no small undertaking, especially when we understand the complexities around the classification of that flooring as waste. So it requires relationships, logistics, patience, and a genuine willingness to understand and absorb complexity and solve that complexity. The fact that Jacobsen is stuck with this initiative says a lot about what kind of company they are. For anyone working in construction, fit-outs, facilities management, this conversation is worth sharing. Please pass it on to anyone that you think would value from hearing it. And for those looking to get their flooring changed or updated, ask the questions. Ask where your old flooring is going to go and ask where that new flooring will go at the end of its life. The power of questioning from consumers and from customers cannot be understated. Progress in Practice is brought to you by Go Well Consulting. If any of the themes we've talked about today resonate with you, or you'd like to understand more about what we do, please get in touch. You'll find our website below and Jacobsen's website below as well. And of course, if you want to find out more about their Re.form program, you can go to the Jacobsen website. We'll be back soon with another episode of Progress in Practice. Until then, take care, go well, mā te wā.